Why are there flies in your freaking house?
Dude, because we leave our doors open and the flies get in and they have orgies
You're supposed to say
everywhere.
Because it's Southern California and I have fruit. Hello friends, welcome to User Friendly. My name is Roberto Hoyos and I am the founder of a geeky throw pillow company called Throwboy, and I'm here with my friend
Airphone Elijah, and I write for Cultamac, and I have founded a clothing company called Might Tees.
So User Friendly, I always have trouble going to that part.
I know, I never know what order to go in.
Is a weekly video podcast where we talk about technology and geek culture and our favorite things on the web.
That is true.
And today we have a few interesting things to talk about.
I think they're very interesting.
So how are you?
I'm good, man. I've been really busy. Having a great time. Happy summer solstice.
Oh yeah.
Today is the longest day of the year for those of you who do not know. At least it is here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not going to get dark tonight till 9:50 p.m.
Yesterday it stayed really light.
Super
too.
light,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I always, it's kind of bittersweet for me because I like having long days, right? Sometimes I wish I lived in Alaska.
Doesn't it stay light for like months?
In the uppermost hemisphere, yeah, it will stay light it always stays light for 6 months a year, and then the other 6 months, I think it stays dark the whole time.
That's so weird.
So and it's crazy. I saw a video on YouTube, and like it followed the sun around the sky, and so like here's like the horizon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sun just goes boop, and it just would
really?
always hit it and then come right back up.
Wow.
And then like, like midday, it's like directly right above your head. It's just so high in the sky. So yeah, we're gonna have a really long night tonight. I'm kind of wanting to go like to the beach or something and watch the sunset. with
That'd be
my
cool.
Camera.
That's a good idea.
I
Sorry I
might
held
do
you
it.
up forever. Dude,
We're recording this at 1 a.m. when Roberto got here.
I'm usually okay on time, but today
Today was a little longer, but
yeah.
oh well.
What was I gonna say?
I don't know.
Oh, episode 22, everybody.
Wow.
What were you doing at age 22?
I think at age 22, I had just ended my.
You're out of college.
No, I was in college still. I finished college really late. I think I finished at 25. I was like Pauly Shore. I changed my major like 8 times.
You probably look like them too.
Yeah, totally. I talk just like them too. I like
oh
to
my
lose the
god,
juice.
Pauly Shore tech. Now I know. That's my
I hear
ammo
Pauly
forever.
Shore is going to be an advisor for Square Up, along with Rico Suave. I was in college actually, so I think I probably had just finished community college and was starting. Yeah, I was starting at my university at that time.
And you went to Western?
I went to Western, yeah.
Okay.
I was literally in college forever. From 18 to 25, I should have my PhD.
You're like Van Wilder.
Yeah, which I never saw. So what were you doing at 22? You were in LA, right?
I had moved to LA at 21, so I stayed there and kind of like putzed around, and I got a job at the Apple Store.
Mm-hmm.
And
the one that we actually went there, didn't we?
yeah, we went to the Grove. It's kinda like
so you worked at the Grove?
Yeah, it's like the big Beverly Hills Apple Store. Yeah, I worked there for.
That's funny.
I wasn't in LA that long. I was in LA for like a year, and then I lived I lived in like downtownish area, but then I worked really far away at this other Apple Store, not knowing the geography of LA. So like thinking that was like close. I got a job at the furthest possible place. It's like going
Did you
to
have a car?
Tacoma to like go to work every day.
Jeez.
I did have a car. I was young and naive, and then I left a year later. So yeah, it was like my LA year, I guess.
Do you ever still wish that you lived in LA?
No, I hate LA.
Really?
Yeah, you like it, don't you?
I do like it, yeah. And when we visit,
You get really misty-eyed over there. You really like it.
I do. I like LA. I'm not totally convinced I'd want to live there, but I love visiting. I mean, do you not even like when we go to visit?
Oh, it's okay for a visit time, but like just the scene over there where like everybody's a script writer, everybody's a aspiring actor, everybody's a musician, like just that whole like kind of like I'll be your friend to get to the next level of what I want. I just ran into so much of that I was just like, oh my god, I can't take this anymore.
So you feel like unlike
somebody
Seattle?
like if we were in LA, you would probably be doing this because you wanted to like be famous or something.
I want to own my own throw pillow company.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It felt like it was a lot of fakery. It's like I don't know.
More so than here.
Oh, way more.
Wow.
You think that here's fake?
I think those people exist everywhere, honestly. Like, there's people who just want to be your friend because there's something they can get from you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who just want to be your friend just because. But, I mean, I moved from LA when I was, from the LA area when I was 9, so I don't really know what it's like there. You know,
Where did
like,
you live?
We lived I think south of LA. No,
See-
we lived north of LA. So we lived in Camarillo.
All of these things are coming together. Your surfer accent.
Yeah, you know what's funny is, I don't really think I have a surfer accent. Do you?
No, I just think it's fun.
But some people really do.
You do have a very like, hey guys.
Hey, guys.
Zach Morris in the house.
Yeah, I don't even think Zach Morris sounded like that. But I
AC Slater
wonder.
does.
Yeah, he totally did. I wonder if actually some of that has to do with the fact that I was born in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I lived there until I was 9. But you know, the places I lived, I don't really feel like we had a bunch of people talking like surfers.
Were you like in a Mexican area or?
Well, it's all of California.
Touche.
So yes, I don't recall. Yeah, but I believe so. Yeah, when I look back at my school pictures, actually, from like elementary school, like half my class is Mexican.
Yeah. No, that's normal.
And like not here. I look at my class pictures from
Here's
here
like
now,
everybody's
and
all diverse.
everyone's white.
Oh, really?
Oh, from my elementary school, yeah.
I had a weird like upbringing then, cause like I was like the typical like McDonald's commercial where it's like one Latino kid, one black kid, one white kid. Like I had like all those friends.
And you were the Latino kid?
Yeah.
Really? And you had like the Latino name too, like your
Yeah,
name wasn't
exactly.
Mike.
It was all like very stereotype, I guess. But
That's
no,
really
it was
funny.
very what is it like PC?
The one black guy.
Yeah.
Did you guys have a rivalry because like you wanted like the minority attention?
No.
Anyway, let's move on to our topics for today.
Okay.
So I want to start with something. I feel like all of our stuff's kind of like hot news for today.
That's a first.
That's a first for us. So I am a big fan of Spotify.
Right.
Do you use Spotify?
Sometimes, but not all the time. No.
Okay.
Like probably, I use Pandora way more.
Okay, well then this might interest you. So Spotify updated their iPhone and their iPad app today to include Pandora-like
Internet radio.
functionality, right?
So internet radio.
Yeah, I mean they had internet radio before. You could create stations based upon artists, but it was hard to find in the app, and it wasn't easy to use. And in fact, I'm not even sure you could do it from the iPhone app. You may only be able to do it from the computer app. But in any case, I created a playlist based on 80s music. Instead of bringing me like the genre of 80s music, it was playing me music from the 80s. And it was playing like Turkish music and all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh, weird.
It had nothing to do with the 80s at all, but it was made in the 1980s.
So this is the old one you're talking about.
This was the previous version of the radio functionality that they had. So they released an iPad and iPhone app, or I should say an updated app today. And as you'll notice, one of the very first things you'll notice as soon as my camera focuses is there's a radio button, prominent, front and center, right? So, and it's included in on all the artist screens too. So when you're looking at, you know, your favorite song, you can click the radio button and it'll automatically build a playlist right there. And actually, I retract what I just said. It doesn't build a playlist, it creates a radio station. And then what you can do, let's just bring up. So I created
There's your 80s.
I created a station based off Prince and the Purple Rain soundtrack. And so it brought up this little screen, and it's trying to focus on your face, Roberto. And just like Pandora, you have a thumbs up and a thumbs down button. And when you press one of those buttons, your radio station gets smarter. And if you want, you can fast forward through the tracks. Unlike Pandora, there's no limit. You can fast forward as many times as you want. If you don't like a song, you can just keep going. Because that's always been my biggest problem with Pandora, is the fact that you can only fast forward twice, right?
No, it's about.
I shouldn't say fast forward, skip. You can only skip through a song twice.
No, it's about 5 or 6 times.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that for the whole session that you're listening? or is
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
Okay.
And then you can skip about maybe 3, I think, and then it will hit a commercial, and then you do it again for like maybe 3 more times, and then it'll hit a commercial again, and after that you do it maybe 1 more, and then it'll be like
You're done?
It's out of licenses for this particular
Gotcha.
time. Yeah.
So that's one of the cool things about Spotify is that you don't get that limit. And
But you're paying. That's a big difference.
well, no, that's one of the other things that has been a development on this update is it's no longer you no longer have to pay to use it on your iPhone.
So you can use it and it just has ads.
And it has ads, but it has limited functionality. So the only way you could use it is to build a playlist based upon this radio functionality, and you can listen to that station. That's free. But if you just want to listen to an album, like let's say, like you find an artist that you like while listening to the radio, it's like you're like, I want to listen to that whole album. You can't do that on your iPhone unless you pay.
So you can't do what everybody wants.
Pretty much, yeah. So basically, the functionality that's free on your iPhone is the same functionality you would get from Pandora.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the functionality that's free. I honestly think Spotify is worth the money.
You live in that though, right?
I use Spotify a lot.
Yeah.
And there's multiple reasons. I mean, I think that they have one of the best libraries around, but also they have integration with Facebook.
Right. So if you want to be social about what you're listening to.
Yeah, and
do you actually use that?
Well, it's turned on automatically. So you don't have to do anything.
I muted everybody that does that because I just didn't get any value out of it. It turned into just a spam of ticker BS.
Interesting. See, I really like seeing what people are listening to.
I wonder who. I don't know. Maybe it's just you know we differ there, but I guess there's gotta be people that like it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I like it. I don't mind it for sure. But I've found music that way. Like sometimes I'll see, like I've seen songs that John is listening to. And I'm like, oh, what's this? And you can just click the play button and it plays it within Facebook. Or you can be taken right into the application. And I've discovered music that way.
That's cool.
So, I mean, for me, the power of it is the music discovery. But
that's funny that you like when we're talking about ads, like that's kind of like a thing. Like if you were clicking on something, or if you liked something on Facebook, all Facebook is doing is relaying that your friend likes something. But when it does it automatically for music, it's more valuable to you than if it's a product.
Yeah, you mean if I hear it rather than see it?
No, if you see it in your ticker and it's somebody listening to whatever, the Beatles, you're like, oh, that's cool, and you want to check it out, rather than it being like so and so liked these shoes from Zappos. You're like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, it's really true. Well, I never see those things. Like I never see if it's authentic, then actually it interests me. If it's like, oh, you know, Roberto likes this menu item at IHOP, then I'd be interested. But if it's like, hey, you should look at IHOP's Facebook page because Roberto likes it, then I'm like, I don't care. Because like you're trying to get me to do something, whereas like this is actually something that Roberto likes. He's not trying to sell me anything.
Okay, yeah.
It's like then I'm actually interested. But yeah, this actually kind of ties into our next story, and that is Facebook announced today that they're going to be updating their what's it called? Their open graph system to include Foursquare and Instagram likes and updates.
Didn't they have that? Like, I've been seeing Instagram icons next to people's posts for like 2 or 3 days. Has it been around for a little while?
Well, you mean Instagram likes? Or you mean like the pictures?
Yeah, just the pictures.
The pictures have been around for a while.
Well, I mean, it's been updated. It used to be just the picture, and it looked like it was just a link. And now it has a picture with a little Instagram icon, so you know it's coming from there.
Yes, so that's been around for a little while. And now they're basically furthering that functionality. So now, if you like something on Instagram or if you comment on something on Instagram, that's going to show up in Facebook.
Oh.
And it's also going to be the same for Foursquare.
So I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Well, that was going to be what I asked you. Like, do you think this is a good or a bad thing?
I don't know yet because I'm trying to think of like a scenario where I would not like it. Because I'm pretty open with everything, but sometimes I like to have certain networks be their own network, and that's why I don't share them to Facebook, you know? Like, for example, Daily Booth, I wanted to keep that in its own little thing with my circle rather than telling, like, oh, my parents, I just did a Daily Booth today, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't think I think it's different for me because I use what do you call it? Instagram for business most of the time. I use it. I do kind of social what I'm doing, but most of the time it's something Throwboy related. So I want to throw that out to as many people as possible anyway. But I don't know. Yeah, I think if I use it for my personal use, and I think that if I was like, you know, a teenager and I was using it for just personal use, I wouldn't want it to be integrated into my Facebook where my folks can see it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. Like,
And so many things are starting to be integrated into Open Graph. So Open Graph, I mean, is this system that Facebook uses that basically lets all these different applications on the internet, you know, tie into your Facebook page without
Right.
you even doing anything.
that's
right?
how you can be browsing Zappos and then you go to your Facebook a day later and it's like, hey, do you want some shoes from Zappos?
And it also says, hey, Roberto liked this pair of shoes on Zappos,
Or Roberto
he
liked
even-
this Engadget link.
Yeah, or
something.
Roberto read this article. It's like whoa.
Right.
That's really cool, and that's actually one of the reasons I actually had a Twitter follower ask me the other day to use, like, you should use Mog. It's better. It's a music service.
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
I forgot
Spotify.
about Mog.
And I actually used to use Mog, but one of the reasons I switched to Spotify is for the Open Graph integration. You know, like, I want the stuff I listen to be showing up on Facebook. I like the fact that people can see what music I'm listening to and maybe can listen to the same stuff. And I like looking at other people's music.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why I chose it. But the idea that all these applications are going to start communicating with Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
I have an example. I have friends that use Facebook and they're very uninhibited. Like, they say things and
Oh,
they do
God,
things, and
yeah.
I'm just like, whoa. Like, I would never say that on Facebook because my parents use Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Like, my business relationships are friends with me on Facebook. Like, there's certain things on there, and I wish I were as uninhibited as some of my friends, but they're normally the younger people. Like, they're 22, you know.
Some people use it just as a vent, you know? They're
Yeah.
venting on it. Sometimes I'll do a little touch of that on my Twitter. I gotta admit, sometimes I will. But and I probably, to the outside person that doesn't know me, it's just a bunch of bitching, like, of all the things that I don't like. But I don't know. I stay away from the Facebook because of or doing that on Facebook because of what you just said.
I can go both ways. But my example, so I'm using this website called 500px, 500pics, and I look at photography, and there's always nude pictures on there, right? And when I see a nude picture that I like, I click the heart button that I like it, you know, and I upvote it so the person knows that I think it's a good photograph.
Right.
And I went to Facebook, and these nude pictures are showing up
Oh no.
on Facebook. And I'm like, dude, like, for anyone that doesn't know what 500 pics is,
Yeah.
it's like Flickr, except it's more communal, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I looked at tons of other photos too, right? And I rated all these other photos also
Sure.
that are not nude or whatever, just normal photos. But for anyone that sees that, it's like they could be like, oh, Erfan liked this photo, and there's like a boob sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, what if like my dad sees that, or what if like
Yeah.
what if like somebody in my family sees that, and it's like they go to it and like they don't know anything about this website, they don't know why I'm there, they don't know that I'm into photography, they don't know that I looked at other pictures. All they know is that I liked a picture with a boob on it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not 19 years old. Like like that could be embarrassing for me.
Yeah, exactly. I think that I remember when they first introduced the Open Graph, and they were saying like it will basically, yeah, it will reflect like the things that you like around the internet. And then I'm just like, damn, like there's a lot of things people will do on the internet that they don't want to be social.
Especially when they're acting and they think they're in anonymity, right? Like
Yeah,
they
exactly.
think they're anonymous.
Like, what if you're looking at porn?
Right.
And it's just like-
Roberto really liked this hardcore gay porn video.
Yeah, and it just shows up like in the feed, and then it's there in your timeline.
Roberto's really into
Why do you gotta-
bestiality.
Why do you gotta go to gay and bestiality?
I just, you know, knowing you as well as I do, I just went to the first two things that came to mind.
So, but this is something that could happen. Okay, like you could.
Oh, I don't think it will ever be integrated with porn. I think they're smart enough to not do that.
Okay.
I honestly, I can't imagine that Facebook would ever let that happen, because they know people, you know, when they watch porn, probably want to be anonymous.
Yeah.
But
But
I
dude,
mean-
there's pictures. Like pictures could be considered pornography.
oh, especially
you know?
like on Tumblr, like
Yeah.
you're looking at Tumblr right now, like I follow like I follow like artistic type websites because I love independent art.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, anyone who follows like an arty type website like that, especially on Tumblr, nude pictures, nude paintings, show up in those feeds often, you know, like,
Yeah.
because people who are really into art oftentimes are also into nudity, I find. So, I don't know, and I don't want everyone on Facebook knowing about that.
Yeah, man.
What are you, like, following, like, the Ellen DeGeneres show or something on there?
No, see what happens is I did for a while. I would follow people that followed Throwboy. So I have like something like 800 followers on here, and I would just follow back everybody, and it turned into this just mismatch of like very like teenager related shit and like all sorts of random stuff.
Speed of teenager, yeah.
Yeah, and so sometimes I unfollow when it gets a little crazy, like when it's like
scroll up.
all One Direction or something.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So Irfan likes this picture of a cat
riding a pizza skateboard. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But anyway,
see, like, this is the stuff that you wouldn't want people on Facebook, you know, seeing that you are looking at. Not to mention, you know, like, even on Spotify, like, I'll play a playlist, and if it's a random playlist, songs that I would never listen to come up, and people see that I'm listening to, like, Mariah Carey. Yeah. I don't even really listen to Mariah Carey.
Not anymore.
And it's actually kind of embarrassing. Yeah, it's like, and I definitely don't do it in public.
Right.
But it's like that, except for images, right? It's like things that you may not look at very often will show up in your feed now. Or let's say you think you're making a private comment on one of your Instagram friends' photographs, and it's like now everyone who's friends with you on Facebook sees it. Because one of the things I don't like about Facebook is that your parents use it, your grandparents may use it.
Right.
It's not like a private network anymore.
Yeah, especially even something subtle like liking a picture, you know, in the like popular feed or something like that. Like you want it for yourself, you know?
Yeah. So
you can go back maybe and see it or whatever, or so you can let them know that you like it, but you don't want really like the graph of your you know, your Facebook graph. It's morphed into this like kind of everybody has it type of thing. And you want to have these other social networks that you have your privacy on, you know? Like, for example, a lot of people use Path because they don't want things being like so social. They'll have like 10 or 20 friends on Path, you know, they just share to. I don't think you ever used it before.
I've never actually even used Path. I never even understood really why people would use it.
It's a lot like Facebook. I mean, it has a lot of the exact same functionality as Facebook, you know, posting, putting photos, all that kind of stuff. But it is more private. Like, that's their main thing, is that they wanted to keep it more private, and they wanted to. I heard the CEO talking about how whenever you kind of discover a new social network and it's fun and it's just like kind of this like in thing for a while, like Twitter. You got to Twitter late, but like maybe, you know, like one of these other things, like I remember I had that experience on Daily Booth when it was really like kind of close knit. They wanted to keep that, so they wanted to keep it like that by making it so you only have like a certain amount of friends. Like you were only allowed to have 50 friends for a long time. But now that I think that's open, but people are still treating it like this is my kind of private area to put whatever it is I want to put. I don't use it anymore because I just had like so few friends using it. But I think if you only had like if it was like me, you, and like a few other friends, like it kind of would be useful, you know, rather than it being like pushed out to
it really
everybody.
would be, because I mean, a lot of times, like I said, like I even just realized this the other day. I'm like, I feel inhibited on Facebook. Like there's a lot of things I can't say and do
absolutely,
because everyone I know is watching. And
I don't like to feel that way, because like sometimes on the show I'll just like whatever, this is how I talk, but like if my grandma watches it, you know, it's just like, oh well, shit, I don't want to say that. Oops, I said shit.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny. Is like I recently had a family member asking me about what I was doing, and I didn't even mention the Cultcast.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't really want my family members to necessarily be listening to the Cultcast, because that's a different audience, and we talk about different things, and sometimes, you know, people we have on swear a lot, and I'm just like, that's not something that you're going to enjoy, and I don't really think that you would want to be listening to it anyway. And I feel like that on Instagram, too. It's like, on Instagram, like, I have friends that I talk to and pictures that I post that I wouldn't necessarily post on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's just, and I feel safe doing that because I don't have as many people following me on Instagram, or they're people that I don't know, and if I feel like I can be totally uninhibited around people that I don't know. I don't care what I do, right? It's like, I don't know you. It's like, here's who I am.
Yeah, especially if you make art, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's especially true. if it has artistic value, it's hard to show it to your friends and family because a lot of times they may not get it or they don't care.
And they just don't know you in that way, or they don't care to know you in that way either.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And we all have multiple facets to our personalities, right? Like there's things that that's why we have different groups of friends, and we have different things that we talk about in those groups. It's like, well, that's a really cool picture too. I like that. So in any case, I don't know if this is really a kind of a good thing or a bad thing that you're going to start seeing more and more integration. Mm-hmm. I guess it is. I guess I do like it. I'm kind of on that side of the fence that it's cool that people are going to be able to see our Instagram comments and stuff. But in the same sense, it's yet another one of those things that is going to make me think twice before I post something. Yeah. I'm like, wait, where is this going?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I want to like. Oh, okay, never mind.
I don't want to like this picture because somebody on Facebook might see it and that's not going to look good.
Mm-hmm.
I keep seeing that freaking picture of this scroll up. No, not that one. That one's good too. This guy.
Oh yeah.
And I can't tell if it's real or fake.
This was on Airfon Social Graph.
Yeah. That's my boyfriend, Dieter. And I don't want people to notice it. That is a pretty freaking cool Dragon Ball Z costume, though.
Alrighty. So, I don't know yet. We'll have to see how that turns out.
I wonder when they're going to start integrating it. I don't even know.
Well, we will find out, won't we? Okay, should we move on?
Let's move on.
Alrighty. So, are we on our last one?
This is our last one already.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how really to phrase this, because I just showed this to Airfon. He said, let's talk about it. So I followed this guy, David Hannemeyer Hansen, on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. And you know who he is. My friend John makes fun of me because he thinks he's like really down on like web startups and stuff. Like you need to basically make money with your business and not just like be a startup and stuff.
Oh, David Hannemeyer Hansen thinks that? Well, he would think that.
Yeah, and so he kind of preaches that, and I agree with a lot of those topics, but who am I, right? And so anyway, he retweeted this this fake company's Twitter called Vuza, and I was like, what is this? And I go to their website because it sounded really kind of like tongue-in-cheek with the retweet. I don't remember what it was. And so I go to their site and I find this video, which I'll play. And I thought it was definitely startup culture stuff.
That's real-time, cloud-based, social, and local. What does it do? Shh. We're still in beta. Have been for about 4 years now. Okay, but it'll probably be like Pinterest meets Instagram, but for weddings or sandwiches or something. But for now, we can't tell you that Vuza uses all your favorite web technologies like crowdsourcing, geotagging, and wiki stuff. And it integrates with Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Foursquare, and a bunch of other things that are way more successful than we'll ever be. It also has RSS, API, S3, and a bunch of other acronyms we don't understand. Like QQQ, Q, K, 5. Ruby on Rails, we use it. Y Combinator, they rejected us. Ashton Kutcher, he once tweeted about a guy we met at South by Southwest. Now, how does Vuza make money? Well, whoa there. Okay, at Vuza, we think of revenue as a journey, not a destination. And we can afford to take our time because we've raised funding for some of the industry's top venture capitalists. So sign up for an invite today because we need users. All right, that way we can go international. Hola. Vuza.com, it's the web app you never knew you wanted.
All right. So the reason I think this is hilarious, genius almost, is because it's so true. Like, I used to work for a startup, and this is my biggest problem working there is that they never knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. Like, they never knew what product they were working on. They never knew how they were going to make money. Mm-hmm. And they would use these really vague terms to describe their business practices. And they're called Jelly Barn. And actually, I was just looking at their website the other day because their website every year would change. They would do a total redesign. Uh-huh. but they would still never describe what their product was or what they were doing, even though they would have a brand new website.
But do they have investors and stuff?
Oh, dude, they had all sorts of investors. And most of them were like their family members.
Yeah.
But they ended up, I don't even know if they still exist. But it was just all this eye candy and sparkle. But then you're like, hey, what do you do? And they're like, whoa there. You know, just like this guy. And I'm going to read you their mission statement because I think this is hilarious. So this is their newest redesign. It is kind of long, but it's so perfect. Jelly Barn is transforming the way branded content is consumed and distributed over the internet. And you're like, oh, okay, that sounds cool, right? We believe the best way to establish meaningful brand connection is to put the user at the core of every effort. You're like, oh, wow, that sounds good too. I wonder what that means. With a keen understanding of our audience, we are removing the barriers between content and advertising and helping brands build relationships that engage online customers and drive revenue. So it's like all that stuff sounds good, but they don't explain in any way how they do any of those things. And every time you ask a question like that, that's the kind of reply you get. You're like, oh, well, we help you
we're changing
advertising to your core audience by increasing your ROI. You're like, great, how do you do that? Oh, well, by engaging your audience. You're like, well, no, but like, what's your actual product?
With synergy.
Yeah, with synergy. We increased your ROI synergy with branded core media. You're like, oh, awesome. Like, so how do you do that? By engaging your audience in your core strategy. It's like, what? It's just like...
that's really funny that that's real.
It is real. Go to jellybarn.com. I used to work at this place.
That's hilarious.
And
that's kind of like, sounds like an extreme version of what I usually make fun of, but that's super funny.
And our product when we were working there was always changing.
Really?
And we had like... It's just so funny. We had like CEOs. It was like a small startup. We had like CEOs and people were arguing about what positions they had. And we hired this guy who was a brand ambassador. It's like, what does a brand ambassador do? It's a startup with like 8 people that doesn't have a product yet.
Dude, seriously.
It was just a total cluster.
There's so much of that, like, I don't know, where it's what the people that get hired, like, besides, like, say, let's say if it's a web startup, besides the developers who obviously have a job to do coding, besides, like, whatever, the CEOs, there's always got to be, like, one person there that's just hired to do some fake job, and then all they end up doing all day is, like, bitch work. Like, because they don't really have a real job, you know?
And they end up making $1 million when the stock goes public.
But, oh my God, yeah, I don't know. I make fun of this kind of stuff all the time, but...
And I love the fact that they bring up Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about him before. And it's like, he's like famous in the tech world, right? And like, you're like, oh, he goes to South by Southwest. It's like, oh, and he does this and that. But like, what does he actually do? What is his actual technology value? I mean, I guess maybe he's an investor. And I, of course, wouldn't know about how he's spending his money. But like, he is not a technologist, is he? Like, he doesn't contribute to your architecture.
Yeah. Like,
besides having an ex-wife that's half cyborg, how does he understand technology? You know, like... And besides being the only human allowed to live when Skynet takes over, like, I don't understand what his actual contribution is to anything in the world of tech. And then he goes on Oprah and shows her how to use his Twitter account, how to use her Twitter account. All of a sudden, he's an expert on technology, along with MC Hammer and Rico Suave. And it's like, you get all these guys who are like in the entertainment world thinking that they're like technologists and they're going to help build these technology companies. When in fact, you're like, what expertise do they have?
Yeah.
And I love the fact they brought him up. They're like, oh yeah, dude, he tweeted about this guy we knew at South by Southwest. It's like all this like technical jargon.
It's
like,
so funny that you have this thing about him, and I'm the same freaking way about Hammer, about MC Hammer. Like, I just think it's like, why do people give a shit if MC Hammer is at a party? And the only reason is because he's somebody that we remember when we were young.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they're taking a picture with him out of just sort of like irony. Like, oh, look at this. Like, it's like seeing Pauly Shore at a party and being like, I want to take a photo with him, you know? But suddenly he ends up at every tech startup's whatever, and it's like, what the hell do you do these days? None of these people are buying your music if you make it.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know if he does make albums anymore, does he?
I don't know.
But I know he's an advisor for Keep, and he's also an advisor for Flipboard.
Yeah, like what is that?
And he was on Oprah, and they were talking to him, and they're like interviewing him about like the technology, and the CEO of Flipboard was like, the great thing about Hammer, they all call him Hammer by the way, not MC. The great thing about Hammer is like not only is he an investor, but he's also a great technological advisor. And I'm like what? On what? Like, cause he's like, this should work like a magazine, and he brings in like a magazine. He's like, here's how a magazine works. I'm making up examples. That didn't really happen, but it's like that's the extent of his technical knowledge.
It's like having like you have a startup and we do like a social picture website, and then you have like Gary Coleman be your tech advisor. It's the same thing, and like can't people like realize that, or like at least like agree that that's real? Because like really,
Yeah, it
MC
really
fucking
happens.
Hammer, he's the same thing as Rico Suave.
Yes, the exact
Or
same
Vanilla
thing.
Ice doing your
Vanilla Ice.
freaking
He's gonna
books.
he's gonna be the new chief of eBay. It's really funny. I think Twitter has created this whole subculture of people who used to be famous, and
Yeah,
you get to
man.
connect with
Like
these
Will
people.
Wheaton.
Will Wheaton, and you know even LeVar Burton to a certain extent. Even though I love LeVar Burton, but like he hasn't been in anything major in quite a while. But then like he has like 2 million Twitter followers, right?
Sure.
And the people that used to love his show, Star Trek Next Generation, I don't know what he's doing now. It's like connect with him.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that's funny because like that whole like connection on Twitter kind of like reinvigorates their fame, and they end up doing cameos and stuff. They become caricatures of themselves.
Oh, big time.
Like they become the person everyone loves, even though they're not really even that person.
Yeah. I was gonna say Neil Patrick Harris, but no, he's too cool.
He is too cool. Neil Patrick Harris got his reboot on Harold and Kumar. I
No,
think.
yeah, he did. That was one of the things. Like that character got him the role in How I Met Your Mother.
And he basically plays that character.
Yeah, and that's a really good show. Like that
I actually
show's
never watched
super
it.
funny. But let me see. Can we elaborate any more on this Fusa thing? I'm trying to think.
No, but can you scroll to the top? It says
They have a mailing list, by the way, if you want to sign up.
Raves for Vuza. Oh, and it has like all these fake like.
Yeah, all these. It says raves for Vuza, and it's
There's, like,
Tim
all these fake, like,
Ferriss and,
reviews.
like, Andrew Warner. But I think it's just. Oh, never mind. I guess they're tweeting about it. 4 years in beta. I'm going to add myself to this list as soon as the video is over. That's funny.
Can you go back and see what Tim Ferriss wrote about it?
Yeah.
Sadly, a lot of startups I'm seeing and look just like this.
Sadly, a lot of startups I'm seeing in SF look just like this.
Yeah, it's true. It really is true. Where you come up with a great idea, but like your great idea may not be working. So I think that's where it happens, right?
Right.
Like you start with one idea, and then you have to start pivoting because your idea isn't working, or you need to change it, and that's kind of where you get lost, and you start chasing things that are successful.
I think people. I don't know. I just don't like it when people are so like. Just like up their own ass about they're gonna change the world, you know? It's just like, can't you just make a cool product that gives you, you know, steady revenue? Like, can't you just make a good business? Why does it have to be like, I'm gonna change the world, you know?
Yeah, it's become the cool thing to do, right?
Yeah, but it's always like such fluff when they talk. Like, I was listening to the CEO of Zynga, and he was just talking about like, we truly believe that play is an important and vital part of everyone's life. It's like, who talks like that? Play? We believe that play is an important part. Like, we make games. Like, why can't you just be like normal about it, you know?
Right, and not
Like-
get all schmoozy.
Like,
and-
even Steve Jobs was a little bit like, he would heighten things to make them sound even better than they were, but at least he was good at it. You know what I mean? Like, now everybody wants to speak like Steve Jobs,
right?
you know?
Yeah.
And it just gets on my nerves. I'm just like, you can't be like that. Like, not every CEO is Steve fucking Jobs.
And not every product needs to take over the world.
Yeah.
You know, like there are some that can. Yeah, Steve Jobs, I mean, he was interesting in that regard. I mean, he would talk about it and then he did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he had the right products to do that too.
Oh, yeah.
He was revolutionizing industries, and it's like, I don't know, is Zynga gonna do that?
Yeah, I mean, like, Words with Friends, don't put that in the same category as, like, the first personal computer. You know?
Right.
Like-
It's like, yeah, that's a good point. It's like Wordward's Friends started as Scrabble.
Yeah.
And you played it
we
with your
truly
friends.
believe that
Yeah.
that borrowing from a Milton Bradley game will
Right.
change the world. You mean stealing Scrabble? Well...
Oh, no. This is not like Scrabble.
And you guys didn't actually invent that, you just bought it off someone else?
Whoa
there.
Whoa there. Let's
So,
not get too descriptive.
Go to Vooza.com,
Yeah.
Vooza.com, and you can watch that video we watched. Yeah. So I
Okay,
think
cool. That's it. Hey, I really love the things that you have to say, but when we're not together, I don't get to hear those things.
That's all the time.
So where could I hear the things that you have to say when we're not together?
Okay, let's do some plugs here. You can go to my about.me, about.me/Roberto Hoyos, ROBERTOHOYOS. That is just where all of my links live, and you can follow me on any of those networks
I
you
want to
choose.
look at your About.me page.
And before I move on to where we can find you,
Nice.
we just made a Facebook page and a Twitter. Now you're gonna ask yourself, why should I like them on Facebook? Why should I follow them on Twitter? Well, I'll tell you why. It's a way easier in my experience to have that syndication in your feed that you always check, you know, rather than like iTunes. Yeah, you have to open it and then you have to wait for it to download. Like, you'll see when all our updates come out, and I think it's just easier. So like us on Facebook. We're just user friendly. I don't think we have a domain yet because we don't have enough likes. So just search user friendly.
No, we don't. Yeah.
And Twitter, where I'm user friendly because I couldn't get user friendly.
Oh, we have a Twitter?
Yeah.
I did not even know this.
Yeah.
I'm going to like us on Twitter and Facebook.
You have to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Yeah, do those things too.
What about you?
One last note about the Facebook page is it's cool because then we get to actually interact with you guys if you have any questions.
And we were doing that just the
And
other
we
day.
have been doing that, yeah. And if you want to suggest show topics or talk about show topics that we've already talked about, like, we check it. So it's a fun way for us to actually get to talk with you guys, all 15 of you.
Yeah, our friend Josh was talking about Star Wars with us, and he said there was a DVD version of the unedited version.
Right.
Which we didn't know about.
And I need to post that picture of that T-shirt. If you
Yeah.
caught last show, it was so funny because I saw a guy wearing this T-shirt that had everything to do with what we were just talking about in our last episode, and I couldn't believe it. I had never seen that T-shirt before. So I got to post that to our Facebook
So yeah,
page.
just user friendly on Facebook,
Yeah.
and I'm user friendly on Twitter.
So for me, you could go to my about.me page, which is just about.me/Airfon, ERFON. I'm also at Airfon on Twitter. I think I need to update your about.me page looks better than mine.
Thanks.
Yeah, it looks really good. And then if you're interested in Mike Tees, at Mike Tees, MIGHTTEES on Twitter. And I have another podcast too that you may know about called The Cult Cast, and you can search for that on iTunes. It's an audio podcast. It's the best 30-minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. And go check that out. We're going to have a very special show tomorrow. So definitely subscribe to that. And that's it for me.
And this was brought to you by Audible.com.
Audible.com, the best place on the internet to get your audiobooks.
And this was brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Dude, sometimes when I listen to it, I just am always fast forwarding through this other popular podcast network that you may know that does a fucking ad every 2 seconds. Like,
Oh my gosh.
literally too long of shows. Like a 2-hour show with about 6 ads in it, and it's not very fun to watch or listen to.
Well, do you want to talk about this on air or off air?
Up to you, man.
Let's talk about this. This little post-show discussion. So we're starting to take on ads now at the Cultcast. So if for anyone who's listening to it, it's been relatively ad-free since we started.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with ads. I just have a problem with too many of them.
Well, I do too. I really do too. And we're kind of debating now whether or not we're going to have 1 or 2 ads per show. The max will be 2. I will not go any higher than 2. Our show, we call it 30-minute conversation, you know, but it generally is about 45 minutes. Do you think 2 ads is too many to do? And if you guys have any any feedback, tweet at me at Airfon and let me know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm kind of on the fence, and I've been asking people about this because I only want to advertise products that are good.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want to have, I don't want to advertise too much. I don't want people to be like, there's too many ads happening here.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, I mean, we have made zero money doing the show, really. And this is now money starting to come in, and it's like, okay, well, we really kind of need to do two ads to make this something that's economically feasible.
Sure.
But I'm not sure if that's the right way to go.
Maybe you could do it like the Dignation, where it would be like the show and then the ads and then the rest, you know? So that way people don't just turn it off if the ads are at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't mind if they weren't really long and drawn out and like stupid, you know, like, oh, what are you listening to on Audible for like an hour? And you're like, what the hell?
It needs to be shorter.
You know what I mean?
agree.
Like, make it go back to the old days of radio where it's just a simple like pitch and then be done with it and stop trying to make it like we're just talking about this now, you know? It's like nobody believes that you're just bringing it up, you know?
Right. And I don't think that it's supposed to even come off that way, but that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, we're not just trying to be like, oh, hey, let's talk about Audible. It's like, Audible's a sponsor, and let me give you an opportunity, or let me talk to you about it for a minute, because, you know, they're paying us.
Right.
And they're allowing us to keep doing this show for free, which is what we want to do, and obviously our listeners want that same thing. Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that an ad in the first 5 minutes and then an ad like at the 2/3 mark is too much? So it'd be like 5 minutes in, we do an ad.
Yeah.
You think that's too much? Interesting. Because I've had people say, "Oh, dude, that would be fine," but where else would we put them?
I told you at the end. I mean, you do it right before your faves and raves or whatever.
Oh, so you think I should just load them all right up in the front?
Yeah.
And then just
at
be
the
like,
end. Yeah, like you do like whatever 20 minutes of conversation, 2 ads, and then your review, your faves and raves or whatever it's called, and then you wrap it up.
Interesting.
That way you have to actually stay for the ending.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's my idea.
So put them right in the middle.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey guys, if you listen to the Cultcast, let me know what you think. And I'm really interested to hear because we're trying to work this out now. We don't want it to be annoying. You know, we're trying to create the right balance. So I'd be really interested to get your feedback. But anyway.
Why haven't you talked about this show on the Cultcast?
Oh, I do all the time, dude. You haven't listened to it?
You're such a liar.
I have never uttered the word user-friendly.
Yeah, you
even
haven't.
when the appropriate time, it has nothing to even do. Like, I'm like, oh, that interface is really
cool
to use.
He avoided the question, everyone. He does not want us.
I don't even want to bring up Might Teas. Like I've been hesitant to even bring that up.
You did though.
I did once, yeah, but that's different than this show.
Why?
Because it's like an actual business and not like, hey, you should listen to this other podcast.
You tweet it.
Oh yeah, I don't mind tweeting it, but I don't feel like Cultcast is an appropriate venue to be like, oh hey, I have another podcast, especially because I'm not the only interested party in Cultcast. Like it's not 100% mine. You know, so I can't do whatever I want. Like I have to kind of keep in mind like there are other people that are interested in what gets said on the show, and I can't just be pimping my own. What was that?
A fly.
Oh, I can't just be pimping my own interests. But maybe I'll bring it up. I'll be like, hey, that thing looks really user friendly.
All right, everyone. That is it.
Post-show discussion over.
We will see you next week. So see ya. Oh, and go to userfriendlyshow.com or subscribe to us on YouTube.
And on iTunes. User Friendly Show on iTunes.
There you go. Okay, bye.